What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Colin here with your weekly gaming updates. Now, the usual that we're going to go over is what I have been doing for the past week, just to give you guys basically a catch up so you know what's going on. I've been doing this routine for a couple of weeks now, and it seems to be working. I think people like it. I haven't heard any complaints or anything. So, okay, now. Let's see, last week obviously was the release of No Man's Sky, and I have been playing the crap out of that game. And then in the midst of No Man's Sky, I was hopping back and forth between No Man's Sky and Tomb Raider, from the one from 2013. So, actually, as of yesterday, Tomb Raider is officially beat, done, finito, no more. So we're good on that. And now, because I've beaten that game, I'm still going to be playing No Man's Sky because, well, the game's pretty much endless. So it's going to be a while. I should have a decent playlist on that game. Now, what we're going to continue with is today is actually the release of Hitman Episode 4 Bangkok, Thailand. We're going to hop into that. We're going to play that. Now, it's not going to be long. It'll be very short. I usually can do the missions in, I don't know, anywhere between a half hour to 45 minutes. Oh, and then there's another Hitman contract thing where I think it's called the Savajaro 6 or something like that. Another person has been added in there, so I'll do that as well. And then once I finish that, it's going to be a mixture between No Man's Sky, and then I'm going to start Fallout 4 Far Harbor. Now, I know the game came out a while ago, so, you know, a bunch of people have already played it, a bunch of people have already beat it. But at the time when it came out, I couldn't get it. I just got it last week sometime, I just got it. So I'm going to be playing that. We're going to hop into that. So we'll be bouncing back between No Man's Sky and Fallout 4 Far Harbor until next week. Next week, we have Deus Ex Mankind Divided. But keep in mind, guys, I won't have that game until the end of the week. Okay? That is the recap of what went on last week. And I'm also giving you guys an idea of what's going on with the rest of this week and with what's going on next week a little bit. So just remember, next Tuesday, when I do my news video for you guys, I will also recap what I did last week as well. All right, guys. Now, the first thing that I want to do here, I want to hop into for you. Okay, Oceanhorn. It is a Zelda-like game that is already available on PC and mobile devices. It is coming to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One next month. It was announced today that the game will launch on those platforms September 7th. As you now, obviously, you guys wouldn't know this because I'm looking at it, but there's a little trailer that you can look at really quick. Okay, publisher FDG Entertainment says the game is a carefully crafted love letter to classic action-adventure titles containing influences from not only Zelda, but also Final Fantasy and Seiken Densetsu, are known as Mana in the West. I don't know that one. Oceanhorn features music from Nobuo Uematsu, who is best known for his work on the Final Fantasy series. Seiken Densetsu composer Kenji is also contributed to the game's score. It offers 15 plus hours of gameplay according to FDG. Oceanhorn, the full name of which includes the subtitle Monster of Uncharted Seas, sells for $15 on PC. Pricing for the console version was not announced. Oceanhorn was developed by Finnish studio Corn Fox and Bros. Now, that was a very fast easy news update. I just kind of thought you guys would be might be somewhat interested in that because it is like a Zelda-like thing apparently. Okay, now the next thing we're going to go into that I found interesting, and hopefully you guys do as well. And then the last thing after I go through this with you guys, the last thing I got is a little bit of stuff on Dishonored 2, which I can't wait for that game to come out. Got a couple months left to wait, but it'll definitely be worth it. Okay, it is how Quake and old school shooters inspired the classes of Lawbreakers, the rapid style of an older time. Lawbreakers may be the first game from the young boss Key Productions, but its influences date back to a different era. The Halcyon days of the early first-person shooters when mechanics were few and simple, focused on accuracy and player movement. The characters of Lawbreakers embody both tenets. During a recent interview with GameSpot, several boss Key members delved into the creative process of the Assassin and Titan character options in the competitive shooter. The Assassin was the most played class during the recent Lawbreakers closed alpha. Senior gameplay programmer Nathan Wolf said, equipped with dual swords, a shotgun, and grappling hook, this nimble class is more difficult to master than its counterparts. But despite the archetype's steep learning curve, Boss Key thinks the popularity is a result of the Assassin's fast-paced playstyle. The Assassin has the first-person Spider-Man Esquire gameplay that's really appealing to people, Wolf said. A lot of players, when they start, try to play Lawbreakers horizontally. But Assassins start to have the aha moment where they realize they can use vertical and reach these Assassins' only places on the map, and it changes the game. Adding even more fast-paced verticality to the Assassin's lineup is the grapple hook, allowing the class to create its own paths through maps in Lawbreakers. The original grapple hook was a Quake-style linear grapple, multiplayer design, Andrew Wood said. It let you cling to walls and drop down behind people, but we find that wasn't working too well. Clinging to the wall, waiting for someone to come around was weird. It didn't feel right in this kind of game. The new grapple hook, on the other hand, fits much more seamlessly into Lawbreakers' frantic pace. It allows for more flexibility and mobility as Assassins swing under outcrops, around corners, and over ledges. Lawbreakers is a game about offense, and after several iterations, Boss Key elemented the Assassin's proclivity for staying still. However, the studio embraced a more brutal, thuggish approach to combat with the Titan class. He comes equipped with a rocket launcher, a la Quake, for doing splash damage and killing enemies quickly. I like the Titan as a way to break up engagements or start engagements, senior UI/UX designer Jonathan Peden said. I view the Titan as the catalyst to actually affect the outcome of the game, not the hero per se. But he can sway the things in one direction or the other. Peden said that this is a pillar of Lawbreakers' designs, creating characters with their own distinct abilities, yet able to shift the battle in their team's favor at a moment's notice. The class-based nature of the skirmishes may be a more modern concept in the grand scheme of the shooter genre, but the rapid pace and heightened vertical harken back to the heyday when movement and skill were paramount. Okay. Now that is a wrap on that article. And then I got one last thing I want to go over with you guys. And from what I saw, it looks like this one might be a little bit longer. Most of my most of the news videos I do for you guys they range anywhere between 20 minutes to, I think the longest I might have up might be like 34 minutes or something like that. Don't quote me on that. I think it's about 34 minutes. Might be the longest one I have going. And obviously, I hope you guys like the news videos. I wish that I could do like a fancier looking type thing, but you know, financially I can't do that. So what you see is what you get. I mean, I would love to have like a green screen behind me with something. I don't know what, but something. But you know, as of right now, the whole green screen thing that is not in the books. I very much want it to be, but as of right now, that can't happen. I'm still hopefully we'll see where things go for my birthday. I'm hopefully getting what's it called? Delgado or Elgato, uh, the HD60. I think it's what it's called, where it can do the 60 frames per second, and then also I will be able to do straight 30-minute videos or a little bit longer without having to tie two of my videos together. Because right now I record off my PS4, so I have to take two 15-minute clips and splice them together so it equals out to a half hour. And I've been wanting to get Elgato for a while, but you know, again, falls into money. So, but hopefully for my birthday I get that. That's definitely a thing. One of the things on my list that I've been wanting. All right, sorry about that, guys. Got a little off topic there, but hey, it happens. All right, this is what we're going over here. It is basically it is one of the creative designer people talking about Dishonored 2 and like supernatural ability type stuff, fighting and whatnot, and what it has to offer and everything. All right, guys, so here we go. Dishonored 2, creative director Harvey Smith seems pathologically obsessed with making his own job difficult. The original Dishonored was already a rich experience, offering players multiple paths, playstyles, endings, and more. But Dishonored 2 seeks to expand each one of those aspects, giving players a larger game world, a second playable protagonist, and even more abilities to creatively employ while exploring two steampunk cities. Dense, open levels, of course, players can also opt to ignore all the hard work and complete the game without using any of the series' signature supernatural tools whatsoever. Now, I did read that somewhere earlier this morning, actually, that you can beat the entire game without killing anyone, without even fighting anyone. That's crazy. I, for one, will not be doing that. I will be fighting. I will be killing. That's just, I want to use the supernatural powers for the fun. And I'm gonna. Okay, we recently sat down with Smith to discuss his insistence on accommodating player choice and learned there's a lot more happening under Dishonored 2's hood than any trail has ever hinted. Alright, now, this is bouncing back and forth between the guy that's talking and the guy named Smith, so just remember that. I wanted to start by talking about your new protagonist, Emily Caldwin, Empress of the Isles and daughter of returning protagonist Corvo Attono. In a way, you could have simply added new abilities for Corvo, but instead you chose to introduce an entirely new character. And then this is Smith. Those two decisions were separate, though. We knew we wanted to make Emily no matter what, and then we were like, God, we really feel nostalgic about Corvo. Let's do both of them at first. We were thinking, let's just throw all the powers into one big pool. Then it became more and more interesting to us to say, no, the powers reflect their lives of their time in the world. Corvo has Rat Swarm because he got his powers during the Rat Plague. You can look at Emily, she's a ruler, so of course she has Mesmerize. Okay, this goes back to the other person. So do the two characters share any supernatural powers, or are their ability sets entirely separate? Smith. Corvo has exactly the same powers at last time, but with all these upgrades. 3 to 5 upgrades for each power. Emily has all new powers. Then we have enhancements, which are the passive powers. Your jump distance or your agility. There are some interesting ones like Shadow Kill, where people turn to ash when they die. Corvo and Emily share those. Other person now. Can you talk a bit more about how Corvo's new upgrades work? What kind of upgrades players can expect? Now back to Smith. In Dishonored, you took their power and there was one upgrade for it. Usually the upgrade was it works for a little bit longer or it works a little faster. This time we really wanted to do something more interesting than that. So we took the power, we gave it a good basic package of the power, and then we said how many different ways can we upgrade it. We tried not to have symmetrical trees. We don't care about. Each power has 3 upgrades, or whatever we say, whatever tree is under that power, based on what we can come up with. Corvo's devouring swarm in the first game, the upgrade was the rats are more vicious. They destroy bodies faster and they kill people faster. That was it. 1 power, 1 upgrade. Now you can do that, but you also have an upgrade that allows you to make 2 swarms. You can be attacking 2 different groups of people with rats. You can also upgrade it to have large swarms. You can upgrade it so that your swarms follow you. So when you take off running or blinking across the ground, there's a trail of rats behind you, Pied Piper style. Okay, that's hilarious and it's awesome at the same time. That's a light dive into how we break up the upgrades. Now back to the interview person. Obviously, the game supports both lethal and non-lethal approaches. How did that impact these ability trees? Back to Smith. Not at all. Usually their powers can be used lethally or non-lethally. One of the 4 or 5 critiques that people gave us the first game, even the people who loved it, was that they wanted more non-lethals. It was confusing because people would say things like, you gave us all the lethal powers like bend time. We were like, you can stop time and walk through the room, and nobody is ever aware that you were there. The power can be used lethally or non-lethally. Most of the powers are still like that. You can domino 4 guys together and sleep dart one of them, and you've only spent 1 sleep dart to take down 4 guys. Or you can set 1 on fire and they all burn to death. It's up to you. I love that. That is an awesome power. We have added a lot more non-lethal options, like a non-lethal drop attack. When you fall on people, you knock them out instead of stabbing them if you want. Can you expand on Emily's new powers at all? Did having the account for her new abilities change the way you design certain areas or scenarios? Just to give you a couple of examples, let's say there are super difficult guys to fight in one room, and then there's a servant cleaning a tray in the other room. I like these super difficult fight guys at the servant using domino, and I just walk over to the servant, hit and choke him out. He can't even fight. He goes down instantly, and they go down. That's a good example of an emergent effect for domino that we didn't anticipate, but people have started doing that. Back to the other guy. I wanted to ask specifically about the time travel mechanic we saw during the E3 demo. Back to Smith. That's a good point for clarification because it's not one of the supernatural powers, it's a function of one of the missions. We took all the missions and said, what if they had some epic theme, either fictionally or game mechanically? Each one does something a little different. We've seen the Dust District with randomized dust storms that affect visibility and stealth. You've seen the Clockwork Mansion where the walls, floor, and ceiling of the house can be reconfigured with levers. Similarly, there's a mission called A Crack in the Slab where time itself is broken. This game's going to be so freaking awesome. When you get there, the outsider says your supernatural powers won't work here. Blink, bend time, domino, for each, none of that works. He offers you this timepiece and allows you to look from one time period to the other, 3 years apart. One is in the present, when the house is ruined, flooded, pipes broken, rats, furniture all stolen or broken. And one's 3 years in the past, when the house was very nice, music playing, guards walking, and food out on the table. You can look through the lens of this timepiece, flip them up and look through them, and see the other times flowing in both equally. You can move back and forth at will like you're walking through the ruined house in the present, and you need to get through this barred door, and you look at the past, and the door is open, but there's a guard patrolling the area. You watch him through the lens, wait for his back to turn, transition, and move behind him. There's an example of dynamically using it to solve problems. Now back to the other guy. When you're designing scenarios or environments, are you designing with player creativity in mind? Are you trying to encourage players to be creative? Or is their creativity simply a byproduct of having all these abilities? It's a bit of both. We rely on the fact that it's systematic and therefore things can put together in different ways. The systems themselves enable people to play creatively. But then sometimes we also tweak the encounter itself. There's a scene where two guards are beating a guy up for not paying money, and they're pushing him closer and closer to a wall of light, which is a security device that turns you to ash if you touch it. Damn. You can just watch the scene, or you can go intervene and save the guy. You're given the instant to make the decision. If you have possession, you can do one thing. If you bend time, you can do another. You could just stop time and go turn off the wall of light. There are many different things you can do. The kind of improvisational moment is what we live for. That's very interesting. I really like that. So many different ways to go about it. What is it about that type of moment that appeals to you? That's the interview person. Now back to Smith. I don't know. It's like Far Cry 2. My favorite of the Far Cry series, when you're constantly trying to sneak but something's going wrong, and then in the split second you have to dynamically react, fight or flight. It's really exciting. There's something thrilling about your plan going wrong in a tactical space. It all happens very fast, but we give you lots of tools to react to the change of things. Some players don't like that. What they like to do is sneak into the room, hide under the table, watch everybody, plant a couple of electrical shock traps that stun people. They're very neat and tidy. Their plan never goes bad for them. Those players are really gratified too, but the ability to formulate a plan, if it goes wrong, then they're like, what went wrong? These behalfs, according to rules, let me back up and try to do it again. They're very gratifying too that we have players like that. Okay, back to the interviewed person. Right. In the original Dishonored, players could choose to go high chaos and murder everyone, or play low chaos and stay relatively stealthy. How will that carry on into Dishonored 2? Will there be multiple endings again? Back to Smith. The end games are much more nuanced than last time. They're not just a gate at the end, but they're rather branching along the way. Who you supported and who you didn't support, and who you killed and who you didn't. It makes a series of permutations of the end game. Put all those permutations together and then put different voiceover with commentary on it, and you have very many different states. Will we see the impact of high and low chaos styles manifest in more nuanced ways throughout the campaign at all? We have more bodies, blood flies lay their eggs in corpses, so the more corpses you leave, the more blood flies there are. Entire apartment buildings you could have passed through the looted before are now filled with blood flies. It becomes a very dangerous path. Dialogue changes, people around you get more cynical, security goes up in high chaos as well. That's interesting. Also know we have the player character voices. They change, and that's a powerful tool. You can not only emote through the character, but you can also give clues. Emily goes, oh, that's the Clockwork Mansion, and even if you didn't realize that you'd reached the Clockwork Mansion, you're like, aha, that's the Clockwork Mansion. You can also reflect chaos with it, so Emily gets more cynical as well. Okay, so I'm guessing she grows more and more outwardly cynical with each person she kills. We found that last time people were deciding who to kill or not based on the heart. They'd pull out the heart, they'd point it at a guy, it would whisper some secrets about him, and if players thought he sounded like a dick, they killed him in their minds. Bad people contributed less to chaos. That wasn't actually mechanically true, but because they believe it was true, we said we need to make that true this time. We added a system with people in the world are either sympathetic, guilty, or murderous. Killing people contributes to chaos. It destabilizes the world around you, but killing a sympathetic person is worse in terms of weighing than killing a murderous person. That's a concession we made to the more nuanced desire that players had. Also, it solved the problem because players were like, oh, it just comes down to killing fewer than 20% of the people. Not anymore. The weighing is a different character to character. At the beginning of a given mission, we take all the characters in the world, the random guards and such, and we procedurally decide whether they're sympathetic, guilty, or murderous, so every time it's different. And now back to the interview person. Does this apply to assassination targets as well? Can players still choose to eliminate targets in story-driven ways? It's a big part of the franchise, in my opinion. We came up with that idea halfway through Dishonored 1. It was a lot of work, but then we came up with these clever things like the heretic's brand for the religious leader. Once you're marked with it, no one from the religion will ever talk to you, will even talk to you. We decide we have to do that for the new game. You can avoid all the guards, you can use sleep darts, you can choke them out, but the assassination targets, everybody has a poetic justice, non-lethal elimination. And that is a wrap on that. I do like that. You can kill any guard or anybody you want if you choose to, but it's going to have negative effects. Or, depending on if they're a murderous person, if they're sympathetic, you can change it up. And I also like the fact that of the main assassination characters, you don't have to kill them. If you want to just knock them out, you can do that. I like that. Dishonored 2 is going to be pretty freaking awesome. I haven't played Dishonored 1. That is in the ropes, though. I am going to try and play it in September. Because the only thing I'm going to have in September is, well, let's see. There'll be another Hitman episode. There's going to be another Batman episode from Telltales. And the biggest thing for me in September is actually the BioShock collection release. I will be playing that the day it gets released, because I love BioShock and I can't wait to hop back into it. It has been many years since I've played any of them, and now that I run a gaming channel, I want to put BioShock on there for all you guys to enjoy. BioShock 1, 2, and 3, obviously. And then, obviously, I also know that Deus Ex Mankind Divided is going to roll over into September, so I'll still be playing that as well. So, sometime in September, I do plan on trying to play Dishonored before Dishonored 2 comes out. And Dishonored 2 doesn't come out until November anyways, so I'm going to have time. But now trying to fit it in August, or not August, jeez, really? Anyways, trying to fit it in October is not going to happen. No way. I am going to be very busy in October with games. I have a lot of games that I am going to be playing. So I got to try and fit it in September. Hell, you know what? If I start playing Fallout 4 Far Harbor, and I know that it's not a long game, if I beat that fast enough, I actually might jump into Dishonored right after that. And we'll play that, and then we'll all be good for when Dishonored 2 comes out. All right. Now, granted, also keep in mind, I do have other games that I have put aside for filler content, and I haven't gotten to any of them because it's going to be a little bit before I can get to them. I got a few that are put to the side, so just keep that in mind. I have the Borderlands collection, so Borderlands 2 and then Borderlands the pre-sequel. I have those. I also have Dishonored, which I just talked about. I also have hold on, I gotta remember. Tales from the Borderlands, I have that. I also have The Walking Dead, the complete first season. And then I also have The Walking Dead, the complete second season. And then I feel like there's something I'm missing. Oh, and obviously Far Cry, Far Harbor. And Far Cry, Far Harbor. What? Fallout 4, Far Harbor. Oh, and also don't forget, guys, at the end of this month, August 30th, is the release of the new DLC for Fallout 4 Nuka World. I'm going to be getting my hands on that too. So we're going to have to throw Nuka World in here somewhere too. I don't know when, I don't know how, but we're going to throw that in there too. Okay, guys, that is a wrap. I still feel like there's something that I'm missing that I have backlogged, but I don't remember what the heck it was. Well, actually, you know what? Hold on. I got my PlayStation 4 in front of me right now, so let's see. Just to check real quick. Ah, I knew there was something I missed. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, the downloadable content, Blood and Wine. That is for filler content as well. So everything that I just listed off is filler content. Now, I would have played The Witcher 3 Blood and Wine a while ago, but when I played it the first time, I beat the game and I got rid of it because I didn't know they were coming out with DLC. And then when I found out they were coming with DLC, I couldn't get it again. I was too wrapped up in other games and whatnot. So I have the Witcher 3 again, and I got the downloadable content, Blood and Wine, because I really wanted to play it. But again, because of how long it is, I don't know when I'm going to be able to do it. But just know, guys, that it is there. It is going to happen. I just don't know when I can do it. Okay, guys, that's the information I got for you right now. Obviously, tune in next week, and do me a huge favor. If you like this video, please smash that like button for me. And if you really like what I got going on, please do subscribe to the channel. Every week, I always got content coming out for you guys. So, much obliged. My name's Colin, a.k.a. Mr. Cowa. Tune in every day because I always got something for you guys. All right, guys. Have a good one. Deuces.